Let's put it this way, Elvis loved inexperienced women. From girls next door to up-and-coming celebrities, the king of rock and roll had a type. Some of his relationships were purely physical, while others showed signs of true love. Here's everything you need to know about Elvis Presley's relationship history. In 1954, Elvis Presley started dating Dixie Locke, who is believed to be his first ever girlfriend. Per 2017's Blue Suede Shoes, The Culture of Elvis, Locke was 15 when she met Presley, who was 19. After school, Locke enjoyed going to the skating rink, and it was there when she first met Presley. The pair ended up getting on exceptionally well, but Locke had to keep her relationship with the older boy a secret from her conservative parents. In the book, she wrote, "He was just a nice, handsome guy. There was a magic kiss that night when we got home. I had to sneak into the house because my parents were sleeping." The relationship continued on and off for a few years, but Presley's looming fame ended up tearing the young lovers apart, though Locke claimed that they did consider marriage before his music career breakthrough. Locke has also said Presley was nothing but a Southern gent to her. In the 2021 documentary Elvis, the Man Who Shook Up the World, she described the young Presley as being a far cry from his brazen stage persona. According to her, he was a shy boy who struggled to make friends. It was the frequent attention of women, however, that brought him out of his shell. She said,
"All the girls were just goo-goo over him, so the girls all went up to him and spoke to him and talked to him."
Apparently, he loosened up after that. Although Dixie Locke was Elvis Presley's first girlfriend, his first true love is believed to be Juanico. In 1955, a year after the singer's on-and-off relationship with Locke began fizzling out, he ended up meeting another charming young lady. Juanico first met Presley when he performed a show in Mississippi. She was contacted by a pal who urged her to see him play, recalling, "She said, 'You've got to see this man. He's the most beautiful creature you've ever seen in your lifetime.'" Initially cynical of her friend's claims and already dating another man, Juanico ultimately relented and went to the show out of curiosity. But the minute she saw Presley in the flesh, Juanico fell hard and fast. The two met after the concert and began dating, but their romance was tumultuous at times. Speaking to a newspaper in 1956, Juanico lamented Presley's alleged callousness in their relationship, as he subjected her to some old-school ghosting. She revealed, "I knew then that this was the real thing. Well, you know how love is. 8 months went by and I never heard from him. No letters or anything. Then I went to Memphis and it started all over, again." According to the 2020 book Last Train to Memphis, Presley couldn't commit to being with Juanico, but reportedly promised that she could be his steady in 3 years. Unwilling to wait around for the budding superstar, Juanico parted ways with him. Natalie Wood first met Elvis Presley in 1956 when she was hot off the success of Rebel Without a Cause. She had the hots for Elvis and asked co-star Dennis Hopper to hook them up. At the time, Natalie was 18, while Elvis was 21. He invited her over to his parents' house, but his mom, Gladys Presley, reportedly despised the Hollywood starlet. Gladys apparently didn't like the fact that Natalie wore a skimpy negligee when she stayed over, and it seems the animosity was mutual, as Natalie found Elvis's relationship with his mom borderline creepy, with Gladys reportedly telling her grown son to come and sit on her lap. Natalie quickly made an excuse to leave the house and called off the romance. In retaliation, the king allegedly gave her the rather cruel nickname of Mad Nat.
"I know one thing. I'm not going back in that zoo."
"I'm never going back."
In the 2011 book Natalie, a memoir by her sister, Lana Wood corroborated claims that Elvis's mom ruined the youthful romance through her jealousy and allegedly bizarre obsession with her son. But perhaps that was for the best, considering Natalie was feeling thoroughly dissatisfied with their love life, an alleged theme that would plague Presley throughout his relationship history. In 1956, Elvis Presley was snap-locking lips with a beautiful blonde. It turns out that Barbara Gray was the mystery woman behind Al Wertheimer's famous photograph known as The Kiss. For many years, however, Gray's identity remained a mystery. She was merely known as the blonde to the superstar singer. The photograph remains one of Presley's most iconic and has been likened to the famous VJ Day in Times Square snap. Gray met the singer in 1956 after her pals goaded her into getting in touch with him. They went on a casual outing and Gray was smitten. Speaking with WTVR in 2016, she described the first time she set eyes on her beau. She said, "Elvis turned around and I almost fainted. He was absolutely gorgeous. I just melted." Presley swooped in to make out, but she told him to stop. He was allegedly unrelenting, and in a few seconds, the kiss was born. Presley wanted to continue seeing Gray, but she had a boyfriend at the time and called things off. Elvis Presley's first and only marriage was to Priscilla Presley. When the two met at a party in 1959, Priscilla was a mere 14 years old. Despite the age gap, Elvis supposedly didn't consummate his relationship with his underage girlfriend until their 1967 wedding day. Priscilla later told ABC News that this was because he wanted a virgin. Their daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, was born in 1968, and it was at this point that the couple's relationship began to disintegrate. Priscilla told Terry Wogan that Elvis stopped being sexually attracted to her when she gave birth, as he was turned off by the notion of motherhood. In a 2021 interview with People, she divulged that Elvis's magnetism and appeal to other women left her feeling incredibly insecure thereafter. She explained, "Women gravitated to him, so I would be nervous when he had to go places alone. I always had an eye on him because everyone in the world was after him." As Priscilla claimed to ABC News, Elvis had total control over her life and dictated every aspect of her identity. She admitted, "I was definitely under a spell of what I thought was love." Contrary to Elvis's affable public persona, his ex-wife has also accused him of being emotionally abusive, which led her to embarking on an affair with the hunky karate instructor. The pair called it quits in 1973. Actor Anita Wood dated Elvis Presley casually from 1957 to 1962. In 2005, she discussed her relationship with the superstar singer with Larry King, explaining that their odd first date entailed a drive to a hamburger joint, where the two young lovers were accompanied by Elvis's entourage. On that first night, he attempted to seduce Wood. However, she said Elvis was a gentleman when she declined. She said, "He was my first love. I met him when I was 19 years old, and I came from a very conservative family, and I'd never gone steady or anything. So, of course, when I met Elvis, I did fall in love with him." Elvis eventually left Wood for his future wife Priscilla Presley, but wanting to continue seeing both women, he reportedly lied to them. She admitted, "He met Priscilla, who was a pretty young girl at 14, but when he came back, we still continued to date. Elvis can make you believe anything in the world, so he had me believing that she was just a friend." As detailed in the 2014 book Elvis Presley, A Southern Life, when Wood discovered that she was being replaced by Priscilla, she ended the relationship. Supposedly unable to make love to his wife following their daughter's birth, Presley allegedly chased numerous women. According to Elvis Presley, A Southern Life, he reportedly had a bevy of 14-year-old girls with whom he was cavorting, and 19-year-old Elizabeth Stefaniak, who worked as the musician's personal secretary, started sleeping with him when he ceased intimacy with his wife. She eventually left Presley for the man who would become her husband of almost 60 years. Presley, who was supposedly obsessed with virginity, pursued two 25-year-old virgins, one of whom was Joyce Bova, circa 1970. Bova later penned a book about the affair, Don't Ask Forever, My Love Affair with Elvis. Speaking with Elvis Information Net, she acknowledged Presley's alleged fiery temper, which led to her walking out on him. She reflected, "It was a spontaneous reaction that said I wanted to be treated like a lady and with respect. In retrospect, I don't know how well I coped. And now I understand more. I'm older, and you know what they say about 20/20 hindsight." Actor Helm starred alongside Elvis Presley in the 1962 film Follow That Dream. The chemistry between the pair sizzled, and they began a tryst. He was engaged to Priscilla Presley at the time. The outlet notes that Presley waxed lyrical about his co-star during press junkets, describing how the pair would head back to his motel room to play cards or board games and eat dinner. Helm has suggested that Presley took a liking to her because she was like one of the guys, boozing and staying out late after filming. As she recalled to Elvis Australia in 2010, Helm continued seeing him after filming wrapped, but the singer then had an abundance of female paramours. What's more, there was the matter of his fiancée. She revealed, "Everyone knew about Priscilla, although he didn't talk a lot about Priscilla to me. I really fell for Elvis. I mean, who wouldn't? But the celebrity he was, it was difficult. He was loved by so many people." According to the 2015 book Drive-In Dream Girls, Presley first wooed Helm by bringing her a bouquet. Unbeknownst to Helm, this was apparently something the king did for all his female co-stars. Indeed, she wasn't the only one on set lusting after Presley. Joanne Moore also reportedly set her sights on him. Things ended somewhat acrimoniously for the lovers. After Presley made an offensive remark about Helm, she retaliated by trapping his fingers in a piano top. One of Elvis Presley's most high-profile relationships was with flame-haired actor Ann-Margret. When filming Viva Las Vegas in 1963, the pair embarked on an affair. The on-and-off liaison lasted for 14 years, only ending with Elvis's 1977 death. As with his other female co-stars, Elvis brought Ann-Margret a bouquet. Reportedly, Priscilla Presley was incensed by the affair and lashed out at her man. Meanwhile, his lover married Roger Smith in 1967, all while continuing with the steamy fling. In her 2021 autobiography, My Story, Ann-Margret revealed that Elvis confessed his love for her after marrying Priscilla. Their longtime entanglement generated plenty of tabloid gossip. As detailed in the book Elvis Presley, The Man, the Life, the Legend, Ann-Margret confessed to the affair during the London premiere of Bye Bye Birdie in 1963, which created a media storm. Subsequently, Elvis was forced to publicly call the relationship off to avoid further scrutiny, but this was something he reportedly bitterly regretted, believing that he and Margaret were soulmates. His friend Patty Perry even suggested that Ann-Margret was his one true love. Although Ann-Margret would remain married to Smith for 50 years until his 2017 death, she could never quite shake off the shadow of her lover. In an interview with CNN, she admitted that discussing Elvis's death was too painful for her, saying, "He's not really gone. He's also in our hearts, and you always hear in your mind." After going to an Elvis Presley show in 1970, model Barbara Leigh felt herself swooning over the enigmatic musician. She attended the concert with her then-boyfriend, MGM executive Jim Aubrey, but ended up getting invited back to the singer's dressing room. From the moment she locked eyes with Elvis, Leigh knew they were going to be lovers. While the twosome tried to spend as much time together as possible, he was, of course, married to Priscilla Presley and had hordes of other lady loves in his life. She explained her perspective on the matter to Elvis Information Network. Elvis was the king, and a king has to have his harem, right? There was another issue with the pair's dalliance. Leigh was having a second affair with her Junior Bonner co-star Steve McQueen. This began a reported feud between the king and McQueen. As things heated up between Leigh and McQueen, the Hollywood bad boy was allegedly getting heated in an entirely different way with Elvis. McQueen would allegedly call Elvis the guitar hick. Meanwhile, the king would refer to McQueen as that motorcycle hick. Leigh's affair with Elvis was over by 1972, largely because he had set his sights on another young woman, Linda Thompson. Songwriter Linda Thompson has candidly discussed her dalliance with Elvis in her 2016 memoir, A Little Thing Called Life. Her first encounter with Presley was one she'd never forget. She wrote, "He burst through the side door dressed as Dracula, flared pants, black cape with red lining, and sunglasses on. It was July 6, 1972, and it was sweltering hot in Memphis. I was kind of taken aback by how he was dressed." According to Elvis Presley, A Southern Life, Thompson was a virgin when she met Presley, and he reportedly hoped to train her in the bedroom.
You know that Elvis liked them young, so I was very young.
She ended up living in Graceland, but the excesses of a celeb lifestyle soon became all too apparent, as she often tried to prevent Presley from overdosing. In addition to these drug issues, Thompson reportedly struggled with having to share her beau with the myriad of other women in his life. Thompson went on to marry Caitlyn Jenner, with whom she welcomed reality TV star sons Brody and Brandon Jenner. In her memoir, Thompson recalled herself and Presley watching TV as Caitlyn competed at the Olympics in 1976. After Presley complimented the Olympians' good looks, Thompson remarked that she would marry her someday. Reflecting on Elvis's death with Real Talker in 2020, Thompson only had kind words for her ex. He was an incredible human being, very generous to a fault. 1972 was a busy year for Elvis Presley. He started a fling with up-and-coming star Cybill Shepherd, who had recently given a breakout performance in The Last Picture Show, directed by her boyfriend, the late Peter Bogdanovich. Presley was struck by the beauty of Shepherd, then age 22, after watching the film.
But Mama, it's a sin, isn't it? Unless you're married, you know I wouldn't do that.
Subsequently, he invited her to Graceland, and they soon found themselves in the bedroom, which the actor later described as all reds and black with a fake leopard cover on a king-size bed. Shepherd took a liking to Presley because he was unlike any of the men she had met before. She told The Guardian, "It was 1972, and all the guys wore cheap cologne, apart from him. He smelled soapy and sweet, like sugar and sweat. I felt a lot for him. I knew about his drug addiction. I knew his tragic side." Despite finding the king incredibly alluring, Shepherd has been pretty blunt when discussing Presley's sexual prowess, or alleged lack thereof. After just a couple of months, they called it quits. Allegedly, this was because Presley insisted his young lover break up with Bogdanovich, something she refused to do. Shepherd also grew tired of his so-called brat boy humor and reliance on drugs. She reflected, "I don't know whether he was heartbroken or not when I left, and that bothers me." According to the book Elvis Presley: A Southern Life, Elvis Presley began a torrid tryst with Sheila Ryan following his divorce from Priscilla Presley in 1973. As Ryan recounts in the documentary The Final Chapter, Elvis reportedly wanted to marry her, but she had a sinking feeling that he was going to die soon due to his reliance on drugs and alcohol. Accordingly, she left him for actor James Caan, and Elvis moved on to Mindi Miller, who was one of his last lady loves. He met Miller, a model, dancer, and actor, in 1975. When she met the king, Miller was concerned by a self-styled Memphis Mafia being present, interrogating her at length before their date. In an interview with Elvis Information Network, she said, "After about an hour, a few of the guys walked out of the room to get Elvis and probably said to him, 'She's okay, you can meet her.'" As with Ryan, Elvis reportedly wanted a serious relationship with Miller, but she felt that their romance was stifling and prevented her from living her own life and pursuing her dreams. The last time she spoke to the singer was a few months before his death, with Miller recalling, "I told him that I learned a lot from him and that I would always hold him dear in my heart. We never spoke after that." A year before his death, Elvis Presley began dating Ginger Alden, who was 2 decades his junior. Per Elvis Presley, A Southern Life, Alden was a 20-year-old beauty queen when she met the king in 1976. After setting eyes on Alden, he found himself falling in love. Subsequently, Presley used his Southern charm to get into her good graces, wooing both Alden and her parents, whom he flew to Las Vegas. Soon enough, Presley would propose. Speaking with Express, she recalled, "On the day he proposed, he said, 'Ginger, I've been searching for love so long, and never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I would find it in my own backyard. I've been 60% happy and 40% happy, but never 100%. Alden added that Presley declared he had loved many women, but she was the first person he was actually in love with. Appearing on Inside Edition in 2014, she refuted many of the tabloid rumors surrounding their relationship, including claims that their romance was tumultuous and blighted by frequent arguments.
Right up until the day he died. I mean, there are just things that I've seen in books, and I said this wasn't what I witnessed. This wasn't the person I loved.
Soon into the engagement, Presley died at just 42. The pair sadly never got their fairy tale wedding. Alden visited him nearly every day in the lead up to his demise, disputing gossip that he was miserable in his dying days. Of his last moments, she said, "We laughed, we watched television, played the organ in his room." She still misses him to this day. If you or anyone you know is struggling with addiction issues, help is available. Visit the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration website or contact SAMHSA's National Helpline at 1-800-662-HELP. That's 1-800-662-4357.